Hello, everybody. Hello. So I'm on my way to work. Y'all really not gonna see me because y'all know I can't twist my mirror. Can I? Come on now, you blocking me. I gotta go. I guess I could turn it this way. Can I? Okay. So I was sitting here. Okay. And I need to edit this too because hold on, I need to edit this this thing. So about 2 days ago, y'all, I had a dream. I had an in-law dream. It was about my in-laws, and about, well, and let me just tell you the dream. So in the dream, I'm walking in a courthouse, and I don't know if I saw my in-laws before I walked up in there, but I knew they were there. So I'm going in a courthouse, and I'm going before the judge. And the judge looks at me and say that no, that my husband was not allowed to get custody or something. Bottom line, she said no. And the reason why she said no, she said because of his bipolar. This is what I'm telling you. This is what happened in my dream. So when I walked away, I walked away not happy, and I walked away not sad. I just walked away like, well, in a way, I was kind of sad. So when I walked out, this is my dream. So when I walked out of the courtroom doors, my in-laws were there. But I was facing both of them, and they looked different to me. They looked very small and fragile, and both of them looked very, very sorry. Like they looked really sorry. And I said to my in-laws, I said that if you didn't do that, Symphony would know both sides of both grandparents. She would know the grandparents on my side of the family and her grandparents on her father's side of the family, meaning she would have been able to spend time with both grandparents. So, and then when I walked, I mean, they looked like their eyes was really big, like they looked very remorseful. So when I walked away from them, I saw my husband in the distance, and he was on a Vespa, and it was a woman on the back of his Vespa. And both of them just was riding off in the mist. I didn't say nothing. I didn't feel no type of way. It was more like, there he is. Like, I wasn't looking for him, but I just saw him. And I walked away. I didn't have any type of feeling about it at all. I just walked away. So, the reason why I bring this, the dream that I had of my in-laws, is because I had that 2 days ago. So y'all know the way my schedule is that I'm off Mondays and Tuesdays. So I work Wednesday through Sunday. And my daughter's in daycare. Daycare runs Monday through Friday. And I pay for it. I pay for it. God is so good. I pay for daycare a month in advance. And at one point in time, I used to take my daughter. I got to get from out of this buzz. At one point in time, I used to take my daughter and drop her off at daycare Mondays and Tuesdays just because, you know, I'm paying for it, so she needs to go. But then I realized, like, you know, her dad isn't there Monday through Friday, and her mom isn't there Monday through Friday. So, no, I felt like I want to see my baby. I felt... excuse me, y'all. I felt obligated, like I need to drop her off. But then I was like, should I pay for this? She coming home with me. Like, the state ain't helping me with this. Like, she's coming home with me. I'm home. She needs to be home with me. And I remember looking at one of the videos with Sister Beverly, and I remember her talking about in one of her videos how parents, we need to be potty training our own children. And so, you know, that was way more. I was like, my daughter's of the age anyway where she's learning how to transition from her Pampers to actually using the bathroom on her own. And I want to be able to transition her and give her praises and see my daughter's see some of the things that she do, because when I would go to daycare, they're like, oh, she knows how to do this and the third. I'm like, really? And so Monday and Tuesday gives me that time where my daughter is with family. She's with me. And I feel good, like, okay, me and her, we going. And I think, I don't know. So let me just tell you why I say this. So today when I dropped my daughter off to daycare, and of course I dropped off the money for a month in advance for her daycare. Her daycare provider was telling me that somebody comes around to observe the children, and she comes on Tuesdays, and maybe my daughter can start coming maybe a Monday or Tuesday. And I'm like, no, because those are my days off and I want her with me. She's only 3. And so it was like, oh, because, you know, she observe her and maybe she can come around. This is the thing. Not all parents really want their children to go to daycare. It's one of those things where the baby gotta go to daycare because the mom and dad, or the mother or the dad, they're working. So they need somebody to look after their children. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. If it wouldn't have went down the way it would have went down, I got more. She has more than enough family that would have been able to say, okay, Mom, can you watch her this day? Or she's going over her other grandparents' house. You know what I'm saying? She's around family. And the reason why I want to point that out is because divorce robs children from being around their parents, and it also robs the parents too. It doesn't just rob the husband and wife, it robs the grandparents as well. Now, it's crazy, and I don't want to call them crazy, but as whatever my husband's parents were, I know that when Symphony came along, they were like in their realm, you know what I mean? Because this was their first grandchild. Although they didn't want her to call them, what did they want her to call them when she got older? Gal and Pal. Thank you for letting me over. So, anywho, but it's not about that, but I'm just letting you know I had a dream about my in-laws, and I told my in-laws that. But today, I had to basically let the daycare provider know I work Wednesday through Sunday. If my daughter is in daycare Monday through Friday, that means on Saturday and Sunday she's in daycare again. She's with somebody else I'm paying. So I'll never be able to see my child until in the afternoon. And no, I want to see my baby. I want to see those Mondays and Tuesdays mean a lot. I don't have to get up to get her ready 5:30 in the morning. My daughter can run around the house with her nightgown on, jumping all over the place, staying up, you know, just doing her and relaxing. And I can look at her when she does things. I'm like, good job, Tails, good job. Like, I'm giving her praises, and she's like, this is my mom, you know? And so last week when I went to drop her off, because she was up when I dropped her off, she kind of like started to cry. And she don't usually cry when she go to daycare, but she kind of like, Ma, come on now, you can't be dropping me off. Can I go with you? You know, and rightfully so, because I'm her mom. We going to have fun when you with mommy. And I remember when she made an accident, and I was like, Tails, you were supposed to go to the potty. And we ran in the bathroom, and she sat, but she looked at me in fear. But then when I started talking, she kind of like relaxed her shoulders like, oh, this is my mom. And I realized, like, I don't know, maybe when she's in daycare, they put the spirit, the fear of God in her, because if she makes an accident or something like that. But I don't want nothing like that. But what can you do? I mean, bottom line, you make sure nobody's abusing your child. But because you're the one that's at the job, because you're the one that's bringing the meat home or whatever like that, you can't always be there to see what's going on with your child. So when she's with her great grandmother, or she's with her grandmother, I feel like, okay, I feel good, because I know these people raised me, and they love me, and they love her. You know, grandparents, they really love their grandbabies. You know, you got some grandparents out here that's nutty than nut, but grandparents, oh, it's like, it's a whole nother level when it's the grands. You know what I mean? So when like, for instance, we went past to go see her great grandmother, my grandmother, on Monday. We was just in the area. It used to be when I pulled up, she was crying, but this time I pulled out, she waiting to jump out the car, because she knows when she goes downstairs, she got her toys, she's in her room, she's having fun, she's with her Nana. And I sing this song to Symphony. I said, we about to go see Nana. She looked at me like, you don't know nothing about my Nana. I looked at her like, I knew Nana before I had you. But she was excited to see her Nana. Not saying that my daughter is not excited to go to daycare, but a child knows the difference between daycare and family. When her aunt goes to pick her up at nighttime, that's another thing too. I work so much that I don't go pick my own daughter up. My cousin picks her up, and she reports. I'm like, how was she when she picked her up? But she was fine. She grabbed her coat and she ran. That's why it says it takes a village to raise a child. That it means a lot with family. And when you divorce or when you separate, it robs the child and the family from spending that time with this newcomer and molding this child. You see what I'm saying? Because the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, you know, I wish I could read that, sis, but I'm sitting up here driving, but I'm sure everybody knows, because you said you used to work in a call center. But it's one of those things where, like, for instance, when my sister Coco comes around, like, if I have to go to work and my cousin is home and she's like, Mona, go when I got her, I'm good. I know she's fine. She's with her aunt, and she's having a really good time. But she also knows the difference that when mommy walked through the door, that's my mommy. That's my mommy. You know what I mean? And when I had to tell the lady today, because she was like, oh, because she comes and observe, and I'm thinking to myself, you get $80 free a week. That's a week for 3 weeks. Add that up. Add that up. So don't ask me to drop my child off when I'm home. I wouldn't even feel right. I'm up the street and my daughter's in daycare, fiddling my thumbs, so you can experiment and show people, hey, look at my daycare, it's full. I want to be with my child. I feel like when we divorced, I was robbed from being a stay-at-home mom. My husband was robbed too. I mean, my in-laws was robbed too. As evil as they were robbed as well, because that's their first grandchild. My mother-in-law, I wouldn't, as much as I can't really, you know, she was there to see her first grandchild come in the world. She was the first person to hold her. She was robbed too. So now we got to go after people that we can trust to take care of our children and pay them. But I'm like, well, I had to tell her, because she was like, maybe she can come one day or Tuesday or Monday. Why? Because the other kid getting lonely? No, I don't need her with me. I'm not going to compress on that. Next year, my daughter will be 5, y'all. She's going to be 4 years old this year in July. Next year, she'll be 5. She'll be in school Monday through Friday. I want to see her jump. I want her to know that it's okay. I want to correct my own child. I want to teach her how to pray. You know what I mean? I want to show her certain things, because at one point in time, and this is just the truth, My daughter was in daycare so much, I couldn't understand what she was saying. You know why? She was speaking Spanish. Nothing's wrong with that. I mean, not everybody can say that my child speaks fluent Spanish and English, but when I was trying to tell her to drink water, she wouldn't do it. And when I would take her over to daycare, she said something in Spanish, and my daughter just drank and did all of these things in Spanish. And I just felt like this is robbing me from wanting to be a mom. So divorce robs children, family. It really does, because when you separate, they can't impact their lives. And grandparents, you know, you got a lot of grandparents to tell you that they wouldn't even, when they were young, they didn't even know their grandparents because their grandparents was already dead and gone. You know? And those grandparents impact their lives. So anyway, going back to the dream. So in the dream, I looked at my in-laws and I told them, like, if y'all wouldn't have did this, she would have known both sides of her family. Both grandparents, she would have known. My daughter got a lot of grandparents. One of them just recently passed a couple of years ago. That was her great-grandmother. No, that was her great-great-grandmother. But her great-grandmother, which is my grandmother, she sometimes keep an eye on her. Her grandmother, which is my mother, come around and watch her. But it does take family to say, look, we family. We going to look out for one another. You know, Mona, do you think you can bring the baby over, bring his stuff over? You know, that's how it used to be. Remember when your aunts and uncles and them, your aunts, especially your aunts. For me, it was my grandmother. Because my mother don't have, like, on her end is no aunts. On my father's side, it's a lot of aunts. But we had neighborhood where, you know, all the kids, okay, let's work this out. And so when before I had children, my sister, I helped with their children. Give my sister a break. I got the kids on the weekends. You know what I mean? They got to know that when you speak to my nieces and nephews, they would tell you stories about Aunt Mona, Aunt Carla, Uncle Solomon. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to, I hadn't seen my niece in so long, right? And she was like, Auntie, I remember when you had that house over around the way. And she said something. She said, it was so peaceful then. I mean, when she said that, I was like, wow, because, you know, I was still in my 20s and I was still doing my thing, but I never partied around them. But we made sure that it was a Christian setting. Even in my early 20s, I made sure to drag them all of them. I'll have a whole car full of little girls, and we going to church. Because this was something that I was taught. Teaching them how to have fun and stuff like that, and taking them picnics and to the movies and places to have fun, and you know, and me and my mother, like, that's because that's what I was taught when I was young. My grandmother and my parents did that when I was young. But I remember when my father wasn't there anymore, it robbed a lot of stuff that I was going through. That I wanted to see my dad. And so now with this new stuff, people expect you to just drop your kid off and just don't even look back. Like, okay, you know, at first it was cool. It was like, oh, I need me a break. But then I was like, no, I don't need no daggone break. I've been trying to have a kid for the longest time, a baby. I want my baby with me. So I enjoy my days off, because my days off is with my daughter. Can you believe that? So Monday through Friday, I see Monday through Sunday, I have full days with my daughter, Mondays and Tuesdays. And her dad doesn't. Monday through Sunday. So what does that say to my child? You know what I mean? I mean, the children they adapt and they get used to it, but she knows Mommy's not going to walk through the door until this time, to that time. I mean, it's to the point where, you know, like my sister, her birthday's coming up in June. So she want to throw this out of town with the ladies. Let's go to, where she want to go? What's that? Louisiana. And I'm thinking to myself, Coco, all y'all got older babies. I got a 3-year-old. I can't just get on a plane and leave. No, Mona, you need that break. I don't need no, what type of break are y'all talking about here? I'm like, unless she gonna be on the plane with me, what type of break are you talking? She already clocking and saying, okay, mommy didn't walk through the door yet. Mommy didn't walk through the door yet. Let's see. And I love when I go pick my daughter up early on daycare sometimes. Because when I knock at the door and see her face lights up. She run around the house like 3 times. All her little friends she was just conversating with, she pushing them away like, I gotta go. My mother's in the building. And when you tell me, look, could you just bring her on Mondays and Tuesdays? Nah. At first I was like, huh? You should be glad you getting paid when the child ain't even there. Because, you know, they come and they observe. Observe what? I need to observe my own child. What are they looking for? Well, they just went to see her teacher. She's not even in elementary school yet. What type of paper trails are they doing now? Nah, man. Nah, I'm not compressing on this. No. Nope. I'm not compressing on this one. No. I'm saying to myself, I'm going to have to find me a new daycare, need me a nanny, something. But no, I need my Mondays and Tuesdays with my child. That's what happens when you divorce. The family's so split. It went from stay-at-home mom to looking for sitters to try to make money to take care of the baby. So I'm thinking to myself, my daughter is not even going to be, she's not even in diapers anymore. I'm like, them years went by so quick. Now she's talking, counting all the way up to 30. Knowing her ABCs, her colors and stuff. Like, sometimes we do something and she's like, move, Mom, I got this. I'm like, Dad, you only 3 and already you don't need me. Like, you're not about to rob me, man. But that's what divorce does. Separation does that. Your kids is like the product of the state now. And I'm really happy that Sister Beverly talked about how, you know, mothers who put their children into daycare and depend on these people to train to potty train their children. And I was like, no, and I got on top of that. Because that's my right as a mom to teach my daughter something, and even her dad too, and it's not just the parents but her grandparents too, on both ends. Regardless of how they were, they're still her grandparents. And I said that to them in a dream, like she was supposed to know both sides of her family. There would have been no reason, but I mean, things happen and happen. But like I said, man, you're not gonna rob me from being a mommy. So while y'all in daycare and they learning finger paints and stuff, if I want to take my daughter out on her little tricycle or her little Power Wheel, go to Chuck E. Cheese or fly a kite or visit her great grandmother or go sightseeing or just spend quality time with each other, I want that. That's my right. That overrules the state. That overrules some inspector or somebody that want to come and look my child up and down. This is my right as a mom. You know, it really does rob the children. And that's why this divorce stuff, man, is not cool. It's not what God intended it to be. You train up your child God's way, she won't depart from it when they get older. But how can you be training up your child if they're always in front of somebody else teaching them this? From infancy. And you got to make sure that you're on top of it. And don't just say, okay, I'll do this, because at the end of the day, when I'm paying this lady, if I didn't have no funds to pay you, you will be like, oh, I can't watch her. So I'm paying you, and I'm going to let you know that, oh, these 2 days right here, I'm paying for these slots, but she's not going to be here today. We usually have to get up. I drop my daughter off to daycare 6:40 in the morning. 6:40 in the a.m. and don't see my baby until almost 7 in the afternoon. So, no. Divorce robs children. It really does. That's why you got so many, like I said, that's why you got some of these kids that's dealing with a lot of issues, because when daddy's not there to protect this baby, when mommy's not there to protect this baby, and everybody sending this child in front of you, and you're not even paying attention because you on your cell phone, you don't see your child is dying down on the inside because something didn't happen to your child. I expect my, and I look at her behavior. I look at her behavior to try to see if anything off, or, I look at stuff like that. Put down my cell phone because I see her trying to get my attention, and I want her to know, like, I'm looking at you, and I give her praises too when she does great things. I clap my hands, good job. To the point, to the point when I do something, she like this, good job. I'm like, thank you. But, yeah, it does that. It really robs your child from family development. Daycare development is totally different from family development. Do you know that children are like sponges here? That's why I don't allow my daughter to look at cable. And I literally have to pick a show, YouTube a show, make sure there ain't no daggone commercials popping up. Because one time I walked away, there was some demonic thing that popped up. I can't allow my daughter to see that in her eyes, to hear it. Even some cartoons I found to be very harsh. Like they had an old, I popped in a tape, VHS tape. Y'all look. There's some tapes. Look, I got VHS. I know y'all like Mona. Stop. I got 2 bags of VHS tapes that I'm about to donate, because I'm like, I don't even freaking look at some of this stuff. And some of this stuff may be like stuff like this. This is old. Some of it with Ben Crosby. Some of this stuff may be too much for her eyeballs, even for cartoons. Like there was this one cartoon, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? The 3 Little Pigs. But that wolf looked really demonic. And I said, oh, we can't look at that. Because my daughter looking like, oh. And I said, see, even this is too much for her eyes. But most people would think like, oh, it's a cartoon. But it's too much for their little eyeballs. Like, you got to understand that these babies just came from heaven. Like, you can't download them with that type of stuff. It's too much for them. I try to put on the little Anjanette could. She almost cried and started going into convulsions. I had to turn that off real quick. So we look at Little Richard's ABC, Counting, Winnie the Pooh. Even some Winnie the Poohs I had to take down because they had one Winnie the Pooh growing up with Tigger was supposed to be his wife. I said, no, we won't be looking at that. Like, I have to look at certain things that she's looking at, like learning colors and, Barney, the old Barney, we look at the old Barney. The new Barney, I don't know what's up with that voice, But I can't even allow her to do that, because certain things would try to feed in through certain programs like cartoons and little shows that you think are innocent, but they're not. Excuse me, y'all. So anyway, yeah, I had to tell her, I had to call her when I got back home to tell her, look, like I said before, I'm off Wednesdays through, I'm off Mondays and Tuesdays. And I know daycare is Monday through Friday, but she gonna be home with me when I'm home. She's only 3. She's still a toddler. She'll be in school, and when she's in school, you know, that's a mandatory thing unless she's doing homeschool. And the way that this freaking world is coming to and what they're going through, she may just be doing homeschool. So yeah, y'all, I just wanted to share that because that's what's really going on in today. It's like daycare is trying to tell you, oh, I know you off these days, but she needs to be in school for children development. And I'm going to tell you another thing, too. And I'm not trying to down daycare, because when you need it, you need it. Like, I'm able to go to work, and I'm able to make a living and provide for my daughter. Okay? Although you paying almost $20,000 a year for it. And that's the truth. But I noticed that every time my daughter goes to daycare, give her a couple of days, she come home sick. So I had a co-worker and asked how his daughter was doing, and he said, oh, she stayed with my mother, so she barely got sick. So it's a lot of things with daycare. Plus, you don't know what, you know, they say they feeding them this, but you don't know if they getting the candy. It's a whole bunch with that. But I just wanted to say, like, don't let these institutions rob you from parenting or feel like you obligated because you signed them up for it. At the end of the day, I'm like, no. Mondays and Tuesdays, I pay for them slots to be open, but I'm home, so she gonna be home with me. She gonna be home with me. And if I have to make up a day and go in on Monday and Tuesday, then so be it. But if I'm at home and my daughter is literally 3 minutes up the street from me, I mean, I'm not going to drop her off 6:40 in the morning and go back home and just chill. No. At first, I started doing that. But then when she was gone, I just felt like I want her here. When I was getting her dressed, I was like, I really don't want you to go today. And then it dawned on me, you her parent. I was like, oh, she won't be in today. But it's already paid for, though. I'm not with the state. See, the state tell you it's mandatory. You can't miss these type of days. But I pay out of pocket. So take this money and know my daughter's not going to be in there today. She's still a toddler, and I need to see her growing up. But anyway, y'all, that's what